Okay, so thank you so much for being on my channel today. Could I ask you your name and where you're from?
Hi, my name's Rue. I'm from the UK and I've been living in Japan for just coming up to a year.
Lovely. So a lot of the people I interview are visitors to Japan. Could I ask you what brought you here to live?
So this time around, it was because of my husband. He got moved back here for work. But I've lived in Japan before. I did a year of working holiday visa, so I sort of knew what I was in for a little bit.
Okay. A bit of the sort of history around your relationship with Japan. Were you interested in Japan before you met your husband, or was it meeting your husband that inspired you to develop a curiosity about this country?
It's all sorts of things. I mean, I think Japan's just kind of been in the background of my life on and off throughout the years. So when I was a scout, when I was about 11 or 12, we did a summer camp where a group of Japanese scouts came and joined in for the summer. So I had that connection. And then at university, I studied ceramics. And obviously, Japan has a huge, long-reaching history of ceramics, but also a lot of very active contemporary ceramic makers. There was that kind of connection, and I sort of wanted to come because of that. And then when I got to the end of my 20s, I found out about working holiday visa, and I found out that you have to do it before you're 30. So I was like, oh, this is my last chance. And I jumped on the opportunity to do it. But that interest had kind of been there before. And then I met my husband a few years after.
Wow, so. Okay. It all just fell into place.
Yeah, it all just fell into place. I want to have it on the record. I didn't marry him to come back to Japan.
Just a nice
very
side.
Clear.
Yeah, no, I completely relate because I'm exactly the same. That I have this, my interest for Japan wasn't like, oh, I like anime or something so simple. It's like something just like a background interest.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. And because I've always been interested in design, and there's a lot of really good contemporary design in Japan, especially with things like architecture, ceramics, furniture, I've always sort of felt drawn to come and experience it. And maybe the reality is a little bit different, but you sort of learn about it as you go along.
Well, I guess this sort of ties me to the next question. What are some of the things, since you've moved to Japan, or even from your working holiday visa time here, some things about the lifestyle or, you know, the architecture or the way of living that you like?
I like how clean and tidy a lot of Japan is in terms of things like keeping on top of litter. Like, you don't see anything like the amount of litter and rubbish on the streets in Tokyo that you do in places like London. So that's a big factor for me. The Japanese relationship with nature is really interesting. So you've got the sort of Shinto side of it, where you're going to these shrine grounds and there are these huge old trees that have been declared as sacred. They've got the hemp rope with the white zigzags. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It begins with she.
Please leave a comment below to let us know.
I'll work it out later. I'll remember it. It'll come to me. And I think that's very special. That's always really kind of resonated with me. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it for me. The food culture as well, the fact that like a lot of people eat out regularly and it's really affordable to eat out.
Exactly, yeah.
So we eat out a lot more here than we ever did back in London. And that's nice as well, because there's things you don't want to cook in your home, like deep fried foods or smoky yakitori you don't want to do at home. So you go out and let someone else handle it.
Yeah, and I also feel like the beauty of many types of Japanese cuisine is that there's many different types of dishes. So at home, I typically do like 1 or 2 dishes, whereas in the izakaya, you can have like 7 different things.
Yeah. When I was traveling with my parents recently, we were staying at ryokans, and every dinner you have about 20 little dishes, and I was saying, I think this is all a conspiracy to keep the ceramics industry going. You know, you need to have all these little dishes. Yeah.
I like that though. I mean, I always think, gosh, who's doing the washing up here? Because there's just so many different things, isn't there?
Definitely.
Okay, so as you may be able to see, Mina-san, there is a small head lurking nearby. So could you share a little bit about your experiences raising a child in Japan?
Yeah, so when we first came to Japan in May 2025, my son was about 6 months old, and I was breastfeeding back then. And one thing I found really lovely about living here is that there are breastfeeding rooms everywhere. And there's an app, I think it's called like Mama Papa app, something like that, and it will show you where baby rooms are, so changing rooms, breastfeeding rooms, and so on. And back home, I have no problem with breastfeeding in public, but when their eyesight gets good enough, suddenly they're distracted by everything. So they're pulling off from you and they're looking around all the time, and it's not good for them because they're not drinking enough. The fact that infrastructure was here to support baby rearing was just amazing. Other than that, we found the support from the government like really surprising. Okay. They're constantly giving us vouchers.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've been able to buy lots and lots of his nappies through government voucher schemes. We bought a massage gun through the voucher scheme. That was one of the things you could get through it.
Very useful when you're carrying a small human.
Yeah, so that's been good. But you can get things like carriers as well. And I just think that's wonderful. It's really helpful. Yeah. I'd say the main difference in baby culture here versus the UK is that you need a baby carrier here, because there's lots of transport options where you're going to be facing lots of stairs, or even if there's a step-free access, it's so far around the back. Or whenever I go to Shibuya, I end up coming out Lord knows where.
Like,
somehow I'm
Shibuya anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, how did I end up here? And I don't know where I'm going and everything. Whereas if you have the baby in a carrier, you can move a lot more freely. A lot of shop spaces are very small as well, so it can be hard to get around with the pushchair or the pram. So I think that's a big change in culture between the two. And then on the positive side, I love what we call the mamachari culture. So this is the idea of having a bicycle with child seats fitted to it. So you can have a front one or a back one. And it's so common here. Whereas back home, I feel like if you're riding around with your kid on a bicycle, you're maybe a bit of like a yogurt weaving, granola eater hippie.
Or even like a bit irresponsible, like having your child.
Like there's very much, like if you got hit by a car and it made it on the news, on Facebook all the comments would be like, oh, how irresponsible to be cycling with a baby. And here that's not the case at all. And also the drivers are much more aware of cyclists and they let you go first. And when this was first happening, I was like, what's going on? Am I allowed to go? I don't know how to cycle here. So it took a while to get used to these politer drivers. And maybe that's just a Tokyo thing. I mean, maybe if you in Nagoya, maybe the drivers are a bit more aggressive. But
well, I think generally it's such a cycle culture in Japan that, there is this whole level of safety that you wouldn't really get in the UK. I think like the number of cyclists in the UK that get, that have accidents and stuff is enough to not actually want to ride a bike for me in London anyway.
I mean, I always cycled back home because I don't drive, I haven't got my license, and also my dad cycled to work and back for years and years and years, so it's very much part of my family culture. But I'm not sure I would do it with a baby, maybe with an older child, but not with a baby.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I could ask you one last question. I'd like to know if you've travelled around Japan. Has it been mainly staying in Tokyo, or have you gone to different places?
So I'm really lucky because I did that working holiday year and I travelled a lot for that. But also my husband loves travelling, so we've gone to quite a few places. So when my parents visited a couple of weeks ago, we spent the weekend in, I'm going to get this right, Kanazawa. Yeah, the one with the famous Japanese garden, Kenroku-en, famous for gold. That's Kanazawa. Not Kamakura. Kamakura is where the giant Buddha is, where I've also been to on a day trip. But Kanazawa is famous for gold leaf and gold products, and they have a really famous Japanese garden there called Kenroku-en, which is absolutely gorgeous. This weekend, we are going on holiday to Kyushu.
Oh, nice. I've never been.
Yeah, so it's well worth going. We're starting out in Beppu, which is famous onsen, so that's hot spring town. It's so nice in winter. There's hardly anyone there. You can just be in the onsen, do the hot sand treatments. It's gorgeous. And this time around, because my husband was obviously coming with us, because it's family holiday, he's going to rent a car, so we're going to get to see more of Kyushu than we did before. So I really love that side of it. I lived in Kochi, in the city of Kochi in Shikoku Prefecture for about 6 months in total. And I had a friend out in the countryside there, so I've explored that part of Japan as well, and I really recommend it. Again, you need a car really to see most of the special places, but there's like all these gorgeous river canyons and just lovely countryside, and the coast as well out there is stunning, so I really recommend doing that.
Yeah. I think like most people when they come to Japan, it's Tokyo and maybe the other cities and stuff, but Japanese countryside is just like such personality and such character.
Yeah, and if you get the chance to stay in the countryside and hang out with the locals, you're gonna have a good time. Yeah.
Lovely. All right, well, it sounds like it might be a small human is interested to go walking now. So we're going to say goodbye. Thank you so much for your time and your lovely stories. And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
Lovely. Thank you. That was great. Perfect.